Good afternoon, gentlemen. Taking a look at XPEV here. It's a Chinese EV manufacturer. It has a pretty nice short term chart here that can lead to a retest of this daily mode area where most of the trading took place since the latest earnings report. You can see the trend has been going up with some pullbacks until now, at least after bottoming uh, in November. And it has the potential of triggering a substantial upside move if it were to hold after hitting this level between 1035 and 1040, and then break out in a day or two after that. That would be enough to trigger um, a daily trend, potentially weekly trend signal going up from here. So it's worth keeping an eye on that. It has a distinct relative strength. Same with other Chinese names. It's been a long slide to the downside in them. And lately, a few have been roaring higher, like, say, I don't know, EQ, IQ, um, Alibaba. There's a few that have been going up strongly uh, lately, coiling after a failed trend signal, for example, in Alibaba, but very clearly bottomed since October, November 2022. So for now, the trend is up. So any sign of strength breaking up from the ranges we're seeing in Chinese names can lead to continuation of that trend. So it's worth keeping an eye on them and playing out the setups as they show up. I'm also taking a look at a few other names here. We had a short term trend that worked in a few of them, and we could be seeing bigger time frame bottoming signals, like in weekly scale, for example, which hasn't happened yet, but the setup is brewing there. So if we only get like a higher weekly low and go higher during next week, we can expect substantial upside in many of these names. For example, this 86% upside from the mode, which would be around here in Lee Auto, 86% puts it back at July levels. It's been going nowhere for a while, but that's a pretty tradable swing, I'd say. Um, this is Neo. Uh, it's a bit weaker lately. It broke down here, but it needs to regain this range. So I'm not too interested in that one for now. But if it regains this zone here over 1074, give or take, it could be basing and ready to go higher. Or if it simply uh, makes a bigger range move than last week's move to the upside. So it's worth keeping an eye on that. Um, the setup, of course, is tied to a potential bottom in Tesla forming here. We had a really sharp move in monthly scale, and the downtrend pretty much panned out. We had the target range that we could measure. I think, let's see. Yeah, okay. 295. Yeah, that's the range for the mode. Okay. And it broke out on that bar, so we cannot include that one. Target range was already exhausted. In fact, it did 1.5 times the target range that we had estimated based on monthly data here. and it's hit it has gotten back to a range where if you were looking at quarterly bars, you have a series of range expansions to the upside, and this one in particular would be if you measure from the close before to the high, is where you get a 50% retracement of that quarter, which is Q3 2020. So it's when it rallied strongly back over the pre-COVID highs, so to speak. So it's an important level, and it could be where it gets a bottoming pattern forming and goes higher. The short-term chart has a time at mode set up already. It's not visible in the daily yet, but if it holds up, it's probably not gonna allow people to buy pullbacks here if it's a bottom. It will likely rally to like 133 or so, and then go sideways and then break up if it's a bottom. So that's what we're looking at here. There's a bunch of opportunities in EV names. I like this one in particular for the graph and the publication here. But I'm taking a look at them as a basket and trying to milk the high risk to reward setups in them. And I like especially like that they decouple from the Nasdaq lately. So anything that's different lately is good because basically, I don't know, all the main mega cap names they have been doing the exact same thing as the Nasdaq, which is not really all that good if you're trying to generate alpha. So if you're just gonna like mimic QQQ with higher risk, it's just a no go. There's not much juice to squeeze there, especially not on the long side. So I'm not really keen on that. Going back to XPEV here, keep an eye on this. Watch the range I described. If we get strength in these names, you can go long on Tuesday probably. Hopefully things don't gap up too far. Otherwise, it's riskier, of course. There's always the risk of gaps being closed, mainly because of the action of so many people who believe that's an actual pattern and they sort of self fulfill it. So they're a powerful force to reckon. So rather not buy into a gap and instead buy into a new high in the daily or weekly. And stops, well, it's kind of tricky here. You could just use the recent lows, could be daily low, weekly low, and go from there. Then if we hold here, you can take profits, of course, and then if it breaks out once again, you can revisit the long side. Okay, that's it for today, and likely my last post for the year. So hope everyone has a nice New Year's Eve dinner tonight, and I'll see you next week, basically next year. Okay, bye bye.